All right, I have Ariel Helwani in the MMA Disputed Interview Lounge. How you doing, Ariel?
I'm doing great, Ted. How are you?
I'm good. So this is going to be kind of weird for you since you're one of the lead reporters slash journalists of MMA, and I hope you don't start asking me questions in between.
Yes, I am known to do that. I am known to go back to sort of my comfort zone and turn the tables. So I know you're ready to do the interview, but I hope you're ready to get interviewed as well.
All right, so it's going to be a little cross interview, basically.
Yes.
All right, Ariel, first of all, how did the exposure of MMA coming into your life in terms of being a fan and then into developing a journalist?
Well, I actually was a fan, way back when. I've always been a combat sports fan. I've always watched, pro wrestling and boxing and things like that. I did watch UFC 1, and I know a lot of people say that, but it is true. I did watch it. I remember watching it at my grandparents' house on pay-per-view. My uncle was actually a member of the 1976 Lebanese judo Olympic team in Montreal. So I think that combat sports were always in my blood. And I followed it back when it started in '93. I was 11 years old, so I followed it as a youngster. Then, like a lot of other people, I sort of fell out of touch. And I remember watching Tito Ortiz and Ken Shamrock while in college at Syracuse University on the Best Damn Sports Show. Period. They were going back and forth. I was like, wow, this is really coming back. It's really, relevant again and interesting again, etc. And I started following it. And at the time, I was in journalism school, and I sort of, in my mind, I wanted to be a sports journalist. And I looked at the landscape and how it's very difficult to break through, and there are a lot of people ahead of you. And I wanted to do something a little different, so I thought that I would, maybe one day focus on being an MMA journalist, and because the sport is so new, I can, grow along with the sport and have more of an opportunity. I felt really passionate about it, and I really started to watch it again back then, so I felt really passionate, and I've always wanted to do something a little different, not do something, not like cover the traditional sports. I thought this was a perfect opportunity. After graduating, I actually went into television production for several years, and it's kind of like I reached like a crossroads when I was working for Spike TV in 2007, and I kind of got tired of television production, so I said, this is the time, this is when I'm going to devote my life back to being a journalist, MMA journalist, and kind of went from there.
And up to this day, you have interviewed many fighters, announcers, and MMA executives. What has been your biggest interview in your opinion, and why?
Oh, that's a tough one. The biggest in terms of like the most famous name,
or say it was like UFC 112 or 110, depending on the events that happened during that pay-per-views per se. What would be the biggest interview you had?
Well, it's a hard question. I feel like I've had a lot of big ones. Like I remember talking to Seth Petrozelli right after he beat Kimbo Slice. I felt that was really big because I thought it had a major impact on the sport. Of course, after UFC 112, to me UFC 112 sticks out as the most memorable event that I've covered so far because there weren't a lot of Western journalists covering the event in Abu Dhabi, and I remember obviously it was very controversial, the ending with Anderson Silva and the way he behaved in the main event, and I remember sitting in the press conference room with Kevin Iole of Yahoo, and we were the only two Western journalists there. And I was sitting with my laptop, and the stream, the UFC.com post-fight stream, the press conference stream wasn't working. So I was sitting on my laptop on Twitter and writing quotes from Dana White, and he was obviously very emotional and very heated and very upset. And I was watching just like the followers, just like it was incredible. At the end of the night, I had 1,200 new followers just because it felt like I was the eyes and ears of the MMA world. No one else could see or listen to what Dana was saying. And then getting a chance to talk to Dana afterwards, that video got a lot of views, and just seeing just like the raw emotion and how like frustrated he was by the whole situation, and it was a very big deal for the UFC. I think that was a pretty big one as well, just because it felt like everyone was watching, and I was really speaking to the entire MMA community. At least I thought so.
Mm-hmm. In regards to Dana White, you mentioned him. How is your relationship with Dana White? Because during your videos for MMA fighting, you are interviewing Dana White mostly after every event. How is that relationship with Dana White?
I think it's okay. I I'm not trying to be Dana White's best friend or anyone else's best friend. I just I just want to talk to them, ask them questions that I want to know the answers to, and that other people want to know the answers to. And the one thing I'll say about Dana White is, you could say a lot of things about him, but for me, he has never said no to me. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. I've asked him for interviews, as you said, after all the events that I've covered, even prior to the events, the pre-fight press conferences. He's always said yes to me, and there have even been times where he's said, don't worry, you can ask me whatever you want. So that's really all I can ask for. I mean, he doesn't have to give me the best answers, the most colorful answers. As long as he gives me the access and the time to speak with him, that's really all I can ask for.
Recently, your exposure to many MMA fans has made more of a Ariel Helwani spotlight on you in terms of fans wanting to take a picture with you, get an autograph. How do you handle this type of exposure for yourself and still do your job to your best ability at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really affect it in any way, because when people are coming up to me, it's not during, while I'm trying to get an interview. It's like at the Fan Expo or something like that, or before an event. I think it's mind-blowing. I don't understand it. Even one person, the first time someone asks for a photo, it's just weird, because I still view I'm still very traditional, so I'm like, well, I'm just on the internet, what's the big deal? And even at the expo, people are very excited to speak with me, and it just seems very weird. I still kind of can't grasp it when people come up and they're like, hey, Ariel, and then for a second I think that they know me, like we know each other, because I'm used to someone knowing my name, and that would be like an old friend or something. So at first I'm looking at them like, do I know you from somewhere? That happens to me a lot. But then I realize that they're just a fan, and it's very strange, but it's amazing. It's incredible. I never thought anyone would recognize me. See, the thing that people don't really understand is that it was just 2.5 years ago when I started this, and a lot of people, I mean, I seriously devoted my life to sort of changing my life and changing my entire profession. I mean, I started with nothing, and a lot of the people that are I guess my colleagues now working for other media outlets, they are where they are today. And I came out of nowhere, and to be recognized and to have this respect from the readers and the viewers and stuff is mind blowing. I mean, I feel so honored. So it doesn't bother me at all, and I try to respond to everyone on Twitter. I try to reply. I think it's an amazing sort of byproduct of it, but it's not why I did it. I really truly love journalism, and I love being a reporter and just getting to talk to interview subjects and whatnot. So that's why I do it. But the other stuff is awesome. It's the coolest thing in the world, and I really appreciate everyone who says all the nice words to me, because it really, really, truly means a lot to me. Like, I can't even say that enough.